And that 30 days at Leader Dogs changed my life. Was able for me to come out and say, you know what, there's a reason for me to be here. There's a reason for me to make a difference in people's lives. Little did I know the last 10 months of my life, or my mom's life, motivated me to raise money. As Luigi said, I've raised to date $370,000. As of last week, we turned in a check. Team Blind Guy, which is a foundation I'm trying to build to assist visually impaired, physically challenged, and intellectually challenged people. We turned in a check to the CNIB Hamilton for almost $7,000 to go towards the camp. The reason I do what I do is because of what Lions have done for me. If you were at lunch today, you could see I was wearing my Beach Mirage glasses, which magnify everything for me. When I went to the camp last year for the first time, I actually grew up, spent a lot of my summers near that camp, but I was always afraid to go there because I thought once they got you, they didn't get out. You know, I lived a fear of being blind. If you look at the name, the CNIB, the Canadian National Institution for the Blind, I thought it was a prison for blind people. When I was a little boy, you went there, all the windows were fenced. Thought, man, once you got in there, you weren't going to get out. But then I went to the camp, and I realized that it was 12 amazing acres. It's landscaped, which really doesn't make a difference to the blind people, but it's safe. When you look at it, it's safe. They can walk around on those concrete paths, they zigzag. It's amazing when you see somebody who's truly trained in caning properly, how they zip around the camp. There's actually, it's really funny when you think about it, there's mini golf there. You know, there's mini putt. What's the biggest problem is our camp's celebrating 50 years this year. That's a huge accomplishment. They've helped over 60,000 blind and deaf blind, and in a wheelchair people. The biggest problem we have is everything that floats is shot. The canoes were shot, the docks are shot. The Voyager canoe just celebrated its 27th year. And as they went to put it away, I was one of the last people on it. And we were rolling, picture this, you have 24 blind people all trying to paddle in the same direction. You give everybody a weapon, right? And you're paddling away. Somebody decides to splash the Voyager. One blind deaf girl jumps up, sits down, snaps the seat right out of the canoe. So we know we got troubles, right? If you've ever tried to price the price of a 36-foot long, 62-inch beam canoe, it's good you're all sitting down. It's $21,172. So I took it on myself to purchase things that float. My first goal last year, I did some canoeing with some of the kids, and I realized their 16-foot canoes were shot. The canoes are 25 years old. So I don't think those canoes owe us anything. So I took it on myself to go back to my club, go back to the Jacuzzi Club, say, okay guys, we donate money, we help people. My plan is to raise money at club level, at a personal level, and talk to anybody I know that's got money in their pocket to get dimes and quarters and whatever it takes out of your pocket to buy the canoes. Within 6 weeks, I had the $10,000, $10,000 to $12,000 for the canoes. The first 10, 16 canoes have been replaced. They'll be delivered next week. So then I looked at the Voyager canoe, $21,000. It's as easy as a personal donation of $50 gets you an inch. I personally, with wearing my green tutu and my green tights, and if you want to see a picture for a small donation, I'll show it to you. It's not pretty. Okay, so we've raised almost between the almost $9,000 towards the big canoe. Our next problem is the docks we tied to, they're sinking too. Now, can you imagine if you've been a blind person, you've been going to the camp? There are guys that have been going to the camp for 40 years, and they pulled our new boat out of the boathouse, which is from 1980. And the deaf blind guy signed me, oh, they've got that same damn boat. And it's hacking and coughing and spitting and burping and it just won't start. And they're going, I pay all this money to come to this camp. Can they make these boats better? And if anybody knows, last fall, the greatest thing that could happen to a camp to us, our septic failed. $327,000. Yeah, that was a good, so there went our float the boat money for the boats. So my next goal is once the Voyager canoe is purchased, we're looking at getting a 17 to 18 foot Campion with a Volvo inboard outboard. I can't believe that there are deaf blind children, and they're nuts. They want to go water skiing, they want to go tubing, they have they take all the risks. So you know what, how much better would it be for them if we could pull a boat out of the boathouse that started? You know, you can't call skiing if you're pulling them behind the Voyager canoe. You know,
harder. Come on.
trust me. I'm training for my 18th marathon, as Luigi said, and every time they go, Richard, go to the Voyage, you're thinking, oh no, we're working at it again. And we've had a deaf-blind person sign to their interpreter, I don't want to paddle anymore, tell them to start the motor. So you sign back to the interpreter signs back to the deaf-blind kid, you are the motor. And off we go drifting down the lake, because when you have that many people and everybody stops paddling, all of a sudden we start spinning. It's not pretty. So all I'm asking from you is your support. It can be as easy as my model Luigi is wearing one of my supersized shirts. He's wearing a custom ordered one. But we have t-shirts for $20. We got hats for $10. You can buy an inch. You imagine giving your friend an inch for Christmas? Yeah, I got $10. Or you could be really generous and say, hey,
Don't do that.
I got a foot for you. Or you could be really generous like my club did and stepped up and bought 64 feet. They bought canoes. And I'm not done just with the floating stuff. From what I've been told, there are other things that need to be done. I used to be a chef. The kitchen needs work. I was very fortunate. I talked to Oneida Canada. Oneida Canada just stepped up. And if anybody's ever been to the camp, you'll realize none of the silverware matches. And every time I seem to eat there, they give me a shrimp fork. And take a look at me and think how much it takes to feed this body. It's a lot of this with a shrimp fork. So I went to I had 15 dozen forks and knives donated. People don't think about these things, but these are important things. Forks, knives, plates, dishes. Oneida Canada stepped up and donated everything new. We had to donate the boat kits. You wouldn't think about it, but a boat kit, every time the police go through our bay, they check every one of our canoes. They check every one of our Hobie cats, and every one of those kits has to be fresh, has to be new. The whistles that the lifeguards use all have to be new. I've had those replaced. So what I'm asking for is your support. So that our 50th year this year, we've helped 60,000 deaf-blind and wheelchair people to step up and support. I've been at the camp where there are deaf-blind children in wheelchairs, or adults even. And you go to the person, say this person's in the wheelchair, and they sign to the person, I'm going to take you swimming. Somebody puts the life jacket on. There's another thing I'm replacing. Right now I'm trying to get up 60 life jackets because everything has to be safe, as Luigi said. The person signs to the person, I am going to take you swimming. You wheel them down a cement path. They dump them into Lake Joe, which is never warm. It's like dumping them into a bucket of ice. And they make the sound of what a lobster sounds like going into a hot pot of water. And then they go, and then they just lay there. And you find yourself talking to this person. They go, Richard, Richard, Richard. They don't hear. Oh, yeah, geez, I forgot. You know, then you sit there and you spin them around or try and tickle them or flip them over. They don't feel it because some of them are in wheelchairs. At the end of the day, you don't realize how fortunate you are to sit in a room like you are right now and be able to look at somebody and be able to listen to somebody. And then you remember that person can't even move. But why are we there? Because this person has a spirit. Inside this body, there is a spirit who wants to get the enjoyment out of going swimming. If we can't offer those person an opportunity just to go for a dip into the lake and experience our lake. And what's amazing thing about the camp is every time it rains hard, our beach washes away because the company did such a great job of building the cement paths around it. The water builds up higher, the beach is on. Then we have to bring in trucks and dump more sand. But those are the little things that make the camp a better place. I myself am very fortunate. I get to volunteer at the camp and I get to see it. There's something more powerful than one night left in the camp and they're having their dance. And you see a person sitting in the corner and they're crying. And you go up to this person and say, what's wrong? I said, Richard, do you realize I have to wait 51 more weeks to come back to camp? And this is the best week of my life. And I look so forward to it. You have never seen anybody so excited until you see a little Asian boy about this tall. And he's got big old hearing aids. They're like this big, these massive hearing aids. And I'm putting worms on hooks and passing in the rod. And he's slapping me with the rod. And he's slapping the guy beside him with the rod. And you cast it in and he catches a rock bass this big. And he reels it in and he slaps the guy beside him with the rock bass. And then he signs away like this. And you'll say to the interpreter, what did he say? He said, I feel just like Baba Zuni. That's what it's all about. Making children smile. Making children appreciate our great province and our great country. And that's why I'm here asking for your support and your help. And thank you for listening.